Welcome back to Inside A-Town. I'm Graham.
I'm Jake.
This month we're going to be looking at some interesting people doing some interesting stuff.
We'll start with the conversation we had recently with our new assistant principal, Mr. Lee.
Good morning, Patriots. Welcome to the next guest with JGS. I'm your host, John Graham Smith, and today we're here with Mr. Lee, the assistant principal of the junior class, among other things. How are you doing today?
Good morning, John. How are you doing today? I'm doing great.
I'm doing quite well, thank you. Where did you work before Albemarle?
Well, I've had several jobs in education. I worked in 3 different school systems. It would be the 4th. I started my career off in Cumberland County as a high school teacher. I moved to Prince Edward County and I taught health, phys ed. I coached football and basketball. And I moved to Fluvanna County after that, where I was the assistant principal there for 7 years before coming to Albemarle High School.
So you've been in the school system for a number of years?
Yes, sir. Number of years. Almost 20.
So what was your first impression of Albemarle when you came here?
My first impressions was it's a great place to work. It has a great legacy behind it. And being from the area, or moving to this area, it had a good name, and it had a lot of good students, and it was presented to the public very well. So I was excited to join, and really excited to be at the largest school in this area.
So what are your goals for this year?
My goals for this year is just to establish relationships, positive relationships with teachers and students, and just become a part of the Patriot family, and to do whatever I can to help and to be a resource for those who are in the building.
So how would you describe yourself in high school?
I was a cool guy in high school. I was an athlete. I played 2 sports. Well, actually 3. I ran track, played football, and I played basketball. I was a good student. I was nice to my teachers and nice to my classmates. So I was the all-American guy in high school.
What did you want to be when you were growing up?
I wanted to be a fighter pilot. Fighter pilot. I loved the movie Top Gun, so I wanted to be Tom Cruise and Goose, so I wanted to be Maverick or Goose, so I wanted to be a fighter pilot. I actually applied for the Air Force Academy, but didn't get accepted, so I ended up going to VCU to college.
So, if you could have any other job, what would you do?
I would be a ball boy for the Philadelphia Eagles or a towel guy for the New York Knicks. I mean, I think it would be fun to just have fun in the game, watch football, be around professional athletes. I have a background in health and PE again, so I love coaching and I love those competitions. So I'll be a ball boy. Why not?
So do you have any talents that no one else would know about?
Nothing special. I can juggle 3 balls.
Juggle 3 balls.
I learned that as a shoe salesman at a sporting goods store. So when I would get bored and I had no customers, I would just grab some balls and play around with them. I learned how to juggle 3 balls. So there you go.
This has been The Next Guest with JGS. I'm your host, John Graham Smith, and we'll see you next time. This has been Mr. Lee, the assistant principal for the junior class. Thank you. Have a great day. One of the greatest parts about going here to AHS is our access to world-renowned artists and academics from UVA and other colleges. In early October, we got to access Edo Ochitigbe, world-renowned UVA artist and who is being known for his work on the UVA Slave Memorial.
Daniel. Recently, we learned about a very special artist that came here to talk to our artists at Albemarle High School. He talked about the importance of his work to the community.
What's important is what you communicate in your work, right? So if you're going to have an interview with someone about what values do you think are important, then you as the artist or designer translates that into something visual.
He is working on the memorial to the 5,000 slaves that were working on it to build the UVA, and basically he was an engineering student. He makes sculptures and the like, and he was the one who was chosen ultimately to build the memorial.
I was in this really theoretical, classical mechanical engineering program where as soon as you decide you're an engineer, your whole 4 years is set for you. So I didn't have a lot of room to play. I did have a minor in visual art. So what I did is over my summers, I would go and apprentice under artists and things like that and learn from them.
The message he was trying to convey with his artwork was that that everyone can get somewhere in life, you know. And he had a bunch of different symbolism throughout his monument that he was trying to create as well. So I thought that was really interesting how you put all those elements together in one.
It's definitely pretty important, I think, especially for people who maybe aren't as confident in their art to kind of see that they're not superhumans. They're just normal people who are talented in what they do.
He had it actually facing north, which describes like the escape route. And I thought that was really interesting, and also the different concentric circles, like they all meant different things. Like the larger one meant like a more general thing, whereas like the smaller ones meant more like specific things as well. So all those elements coming together, and also the different techniques that he used, because he did a ton of research on like how to put all those together, like the different textures, the different so he used these vertical lines that sort of had a basis in Nigeria, since he's from there, and he that meant more like royalty, and he wanted to convey that in his piece.
Like people with like different ethnic groups or like different culture have like different ideas or like different ways to interpret arts. So it's really important to let like all students or like other people to like learn from them, because like everyone has like different ideas, and how they like interpret it is really like fun to watch.
Thanks for watching. I'm Daniel. See you next time.
Jaquan Green is our local music historian, but he has learned another lesson in musical history from a fellow music history geek and math teacher, Mr. Garland. Here's another installment of Musical History Experience.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the Musical History Experience. I'm Jaquan, and today we are with Mr. Garland. He's telling us about some of his favorite guitarists, as well as the roots of rock and roll. Mr. Garland, what is one musical moment in history that you would deem most important?
Questions. So I'm a huge fan of kind of the start of rock and roll. I love 50s and 60s music. My two biggest idols from kind of the 50s, if you will, are Jerry Lee Lewis and Chuck Berry. Two were artists who were just in their element, bringing their instrument to the forefront of rock and roll. Chuck Berry, incredible guitar player. Jerry Lee Lewis played the piano in a way that nobody had seen before. I mean, he was jumping all over the piano, lighting the piano on fire. Hendrix was inspired kind of by moves like that. Just they did a great job of bringing rock and roll music to the general radio listening audience and stuff. It was originally heard as the devil's music and stuff, and a lot of the antics that went behind the scenes and stuff like that. Jerry Lee Lewis was kind of a contributor to that. But their music, what they composed, how they performed it, really shot rock and roll to the forefront of the music spectrum. I also am a huge fan, and you'll see posters behind me, of the group Van Halen. And Eddie Van Halen took the guitar to the next level. I mean, obviously, we tip our hats to Eric Clapton, Jimi Hendrix, and a lot of those guys that came before him and stuff. But Eddie Van Halen started really kind of popularizing. He didn't create it, but he actually actually took a finger tapping style on the guitar. It's very similar to when you play the piano, you're pressing keys to make notes, and he actually, instead of plucking strings on the guitar, he started actually just pressing the notes and stuff and forming chords, and created a finger tapping style that is very similar to playing the piano. And a lot of guitar players in the 1980s really started mimicking that style, and that's where you saw a nice resurgence in the in the 1980s of the guitar hero. So yeah, I definitely tip my hat to those gentlemen right there. So.
I'm Jaquan. Thank you for watching the Musical History Experience, and see you next time.
Albemarle High School is home to over 50 different social clubs, everything from chook ball to salsa dancing. But for our first AHS Club Spotlight, we're going to be taking a look at the Dungeons & Dragons Club.
Hey guys, in this week's Club Spotlight, we interviewed the D&D Club, which is the Dungeons & Dragons Club, and here it is.
Well, I believe that kids should get a chance to flex their creativity. They should get a chance to have fun at school. And D&D is really great for that. It's cooperative story building, it's creative problem solving, and the kids always end up having a great time while they're there. I figure if I can host it, then I can make sure the kids are having fun and learn to do their very best at it.
Well, I joined back when this club was like 5 people at the beginning of last year. And the reason why I joined is because, it was just a small group of friends and Mr. Tracta. We would just come in here Fridays and just have fun, and then it kind of grew to what it is now.
The D&D Club is a club for people who want to get together, play a game, have some fun, make a story.
A place for people to get together and meet new people and play Dungeons & Dragons. So basically you get a group of like 4 to 6 players, you get them together, they have all their characters and such, and then you have a DM, and DM basically creates like the story and the scenarios that the players are going to go up against,
So some of my students last year found out that I've got an interest in D&D and that I've done it semi-professionally for a few years. So they approached me and we got it rolling. Start off kind of small, and now we've got a chance to get a lot of kids involved in it.
Well, for the longest time, I've had so many ideas and characters and stories and worlds floating around in my head, and I didn't know what to do with them. Novel writing just wouldn't cut it. It's not as interactive. It's just something that you put down and that's there and that's that. But when I found out what D&D was, I thought, this is perfect. This is the best way, the most interactive way to get out all of my ideas and play all of those characters.
Yes, there is, a rule book that, sets limitations on damage and weapons and monsters and such, but from that kind of outline of a rule set, you can kind of work inside of it, make your own stuff, that's balanced obviously, and your own monsters, your own missions, just kind of within that rule set.
So everybody's D&D experience is unique. I've never seen 2 people have the same exact fun or same exact time. So I'd say just try it out. Come see us and have a lot of fun.
Being a patriot is not all fun and games. On the leadership class's recent retreat, they discussed how to make AHS and the community a better place. Let's take a look at what they have been doing.
What are your thoughts on the retreat so far?
I've loved it. I've been able to engage with different people within other classes that I've never seen before and be able to really hone in on what they're interested in and how I can connect with them in other ways as well.
My thoughts about retreat, I learn new things in here, about leadership, making new friends, and meeting with great teachers and staying in nature.
I think leadership retreat has helped everyone become a better leader.
I always think it's really cool when you get a lot of student leaders and empowered voices together. The ideas and the impact that comes from that. It can start one thing that starts another, and the end result can be phenomenal.
I think it's a good way to like get different types of leaders like together, and then you just learn like what you can do better at.
It's really great for like team building, I guess. I'm having a lot of fun meeting other people.
I think it's really fun because in the games and like the activities that we've been doing, you like learn the lessons about how to be a good leader.
I love the opportunity you have at AHS. I love that there's so many different things that you can do. You can be involved in sports and clubs and all kinds of things, or both at the same time, which I think
I love how Albemarle is so diverse. For example, there are numerous amounts of clubs and organizations that allow students to pursue something that they're passionate about.
The friendliness of a lot of the kids, especially like being welcomed into groups. Just like even if people don't know you, like once you like start to know people, like a lot of time like they won't like just like abandon you.
AHS, I love the sports there, the teachers, the people, and like how nice they are and stuff, and like how diverse everything is. So you can hang out with like some other group at some point, and just hang out with different type of people.
I think the more opportunities that freshmen have, and really this applies for any grade, where you're doing stuff that does not exclude to a particular grade, like you're doing stuff with upperclassmen and learning more about what they've experienced and getting more advice from upperclassmen, because I feel like when you just have freshmen with freshmen and you sort of segregate it out by grade, not a lot gets done, and there is a lack in sense of community.
So I think the best thing that we can do for the sophomores this year is to really try and create like just inclusion between the different groups of people, like bringing athletes and drama and everyone together all in like one group of people, because we typically stay more separated in different areas.
I think we can make Albemarle better by including more people. I feel like the junior class has only like a small group of it that does a lot of things for them, and then just the other juniors are just not involved.
AHS has the ability to take the senior class and make sure that all our leaders within the senior class are reaching back to other classes and helping them be the best possible leaders that they can be, because all of our roles are going to be taken by other classmen. And so that's our best thing as seniors, is to make sure that our younger people have the ability to be leaders just like us.
Last month, the girls' a cappella group, No Fella a cappella, gave their rendition of the song Rise. This month, it's the boys' turn. Here we have the AHS Minutemen with Ray Charles's Georgia.
Old sweet song keeps Georgia on
that's all for this month.
Thanks for joining us with Inside A-Town.
We'll see you next time. We're locked out.